Am I the a-hole for pointing out my dad's failure as a parent after he tried to critique mine? My wife and I didn't meet in the most conventional way. She was my late brother's wife. We had lost him when she was 5 months pregnant with her son, my nephew. She stayed close to the family and we all adored my nephew. I was more involved in his life and wanted to share as much of my brother with him as possible. My wife and I became each other's support through our grief, became very close friends. And, well, 7 years after, we realized we had feelings for each other. With my nephew's blessing, we began dating. Not everyone in my family was on board, but they did eventually. We've been together 9 years, married for 6, and have a 7-year-old daughter who my nephew, 16, loves more than anything. Biologically, we know they are both siblings/cousins, and that's something we didn't want to hide from her. Especially because we still talk about my brother, and he will always be my nephew's father no matter what. She's known from a young age, and it really hasn't been an issue. They still love each other and act like siblings. My dad's come back into picture recently. We haven't heard from him since my brother's funeral, but it's not like he was around much before that. He knows now that I've been married to my wife and we have a daughter together. But he got mad when he asked about if she knows, and I told him she's been told. That's not something we want to treat like a major secret after all. My dad started going off about how irresponsible that is, and she didn't need to know. Now for sure we've messed her up mentally. I just thought it was funny that he of all people thought he could lecture me on how to properly raise a child, given that he was barely around and left my mom to raise us. That's what I told him too, and he got even more mad. Pretty much said I don't have a right to insult him for things he did in the past, when he's just trying to point out a mistake we've made right now. I don't know if that's really a valid argument, but now he's acting like I've insulted his entire existence just for trying to give me some guidance. Was I the a-hole for this? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole at all. He doesn't get to swoop in from his self-imposed exile and critique. Here's an unsolicited well done on handling the situation with the kids from a stranger on the internet too. It would be one thing if the dad wasn't being judgmental and was like, "Look, I screwed up years ago doing X and regret it. I don't want you to make the same mistake like I did and suffer." But being judgmental and condescending while trying to whitewash his own actions is hypocrisy. No surprise he got called out. Not the a-hole. You'd be far, far more likely to do damage to your daughter by hiding something like that. And she would inevitably find out at some point and realize her entire life had been built on a lie. It's an unusual circumstance, and she should absolutely know about it. Your dad is way off base, and he has absolutely zero right to lecture you about it when he hasn't even been a parent to you. Not the a-hole. I'm back, son, and I'm here to tell you what you're doing wrong. What a great way to repair a messed up relationship. At this rate, they'll be father and son in no time. Definitely not the a-hole. I think that you did a good job by telling her early, because at some point, some stupid people will tell her. Probably to be mean or something. With her knowing and growing up with it being normal, it won't hurt her. And to be honest, I do not think that it is something to be ashamed of at all. I mean, they are even more related than half-siblings, which I think is awesome in this context. The death of your brother really is tragic and sad. But with your daughter and you, your nephew has direct family which is a part of his dad as well. Your father was wrong. That was always the goal. We never want her to feel weird about it, or like we intentionally kept something dark from her, and it hasn't impacted their relationship as siblings at all. Thank you. Next story is titled, "Am I the a-hole for not helping my brother-in-law and my sister with their debt?" I've owned many successful small businesses over the years, so I have a lot of experience in all kinds of retail at many levels to say the least. My sister and brother-in-law were thinking of starting their own, so they asked me for my help and advice. I spoke to them over the phone, going over the basics and links to some good websites to take a look at. After about a few weeks of speaking to them, they said they didn't want my help anymore. When I asked why they said that, they said they were told differently by an experienced accountant they knew from church. This so-called accountant was not only giving them bad advice, some of it was downright illegal. I told them this, and they said that I didn't know what I was talking about since he was a CPA, Certified Public Accountant. I did a little digging on this guy, and he had no credentials whatsoever, and he had dropped out of community college after a year. I warned them not once, but twice that this guy was going to get them tossed in jail for tax fraud. My brother-in-law gave him fiduciary control so he could take care of financial responsibilities. Not even a year later, the guy took every liquid asset they could find and disappeared. He not only stole everything, he ran off with everything they had, got a few more company credit cards, maxed them out, got lines of credit with some parts companies, ordered parts and then sold them on the side for cash. Brother-in-law and sister's company blew up. They lost their house and almost went to jail. Not only that, they are in massive debt that I don't think they will ever be able to pay off. I feel horrible for their daughter, who most likely won't be going to her dream college because of all this. They are now asking family members for help, and they are so graciously giving them everything they can spare. Then they asked me, and apologized, then asked if they could have some help financially. I accepted the apology, but said no, stating that I warned them and they ignored me. They left, but not without begging and crying. So now I am being painted as the a-hole by family and friends. I want to state that I am not rich by any means, but I am doing really well financially. I've worked hard to where I've gotten today, and although I could have spared something, I didn't feel obligated to. Am I the a-hole here? Not the a-hole. They dug their own hole. What might be a nice gesture, though, is to put some money into a trust for your niece to help with college that parents can't touch. Not the a-hole. You warned them repeatedly. Could always create a college fund for their daughter if you felt so moved, so she doesn't suffer for their ineptitude. But that's not something you have to do. Not the a-hole. These two people are a waste of your money. You had already warned them. They'll just do something stupid again once they achieve financial freedom on your dime. Honestly, people this stupid deserve what they get. Do not waste your money on them. Sounds like they wanted to get rich quick and not have to do the hard work, and even gave over control to a loser. Not sure why. After multiple attempts to help them up front, you should bail them out now. If you want to help the niece, you can, but that's not necessary either. Not the a-hole. Your sister and brother-in-law are grown adults who got themselves in this mess. If you were able, help your niece with some college expenses. Not the a-hole. They ignored your advice and warnings multiple times and followed a snake oil salesman into a get-rich-quick scheme. They were greedy and looking for cheats and shortcuts, and that made them easy marks for a charlatan. This is karma at its most recognizable. If you are concerned about the daughter, you could set up a college fund for her that the family can pay into but that her parents can't touch. But you don't really owe them anything. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to purchase a baby gift for my cousin's second baby shower? I, 26 female, found out that my cousin Beth, 35 female, is pregnant with her second child. I'm happy for her, obviously, but she and I have never been close. I love to sew, and whenever I find out a family member or friend is expecting a baby, I make them a nice baby blanket for them. I feel like it is a nice personalized gift that you can't get anywhere else, and I always make sure to get soft, high-quality material to ensure it is both safe and comfortable. Everyone who received a blanket from me always praised the craftsmanship, and that their children still snuggle with it well into their childhood. I made a nice blue baby blanket with puppies on it for Beth's first child, and whenever I go to visit, he always was carrying it around. I also mentioned to anyone who was given a blanket to call me if they have concerns about it, such as bunching cotton or loose thread, so I can fix it up for them. I've never gotten any complaints, so I must be doing it correctly. Recently, I got an email from Beth reminding everyone about her upcoming baby shower. It is a drive-by due to the pandemic, and had added a gift registration for guests to sign off on. I looked through it and was amazed about how expensive everything was. I understand that baby supplies can be pricey, but the cheapest thing on the registration is a stuffed rabbit costing $25. There were a lot of other things I find personally silly and inappropriate to ask for from family, such as nip cream, new pajamas for Beth not a baby, maternity diapers, etc. As a university student, I can't afford these things, and figured a blanket I made would be a sweet gift. I texted my cousin and let her know that I could not really afford some of the items she asked for, but I would be more than happy to make a personalized baby blanket to match the nursery, woodland themed. I got a text back immediately from her saying that I had to pick something from the registry or purchase a gift card from Babies R Us with a minimum amount of $100. I asked if there was an issue with her son's blanket that would warrant her refusal of accepting my gift, and she stated that because it was homemade, it looked tacky, and it made her look cheap for not having a tag attached to it. Here's where I may be the a-hole. I responded that I, under no circumstances, will be applying to her gift registration, and now she could kiss the baby blanket goodbye. Beth became upset, stating that I was a cheapskate and was depriving her unborn baby of needed supplies. I pointed out that she still had plenty of toys, books, old clothes, strollers, etc. from her first child that she could still use. She went quiet for a few days, and then messaged me this morning saying she'll take the blanket. I am still pissed, so I told her no, and I will no longer be attending her shower. Now I have cousins and aunts flooding my phone with complaints on how I'm a bad person. My parents are on my side, however. So now I'm here, wanting to know if I am the a-hole. Am I? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. That's a baby shower you can skip without guilt. I don't know how many people who can drop $100 on a present. And it's a shower, not a VIP lounge. Heaven forbid she has a third child. The prices will be minimum $300. Rejecting a handmade gift is a jerk move anyway, especially since your older kid was using the blanket you made. Edit. This hits pretty close to home because I make crochet blankets as gifts. I let parents know that I would like the blankets to be used. That's what it meant for. And loved. So many of us, as adults, remember having a special blanket, stuffy, or toy that we carried around. It's even more special if it's a blankie that a relative lovingly made. I'm imagining cousin's second kid as an adult going through her childhood toys, holding up a $75 stuffed bunny that was too nice for her to play with, and rolling her eyes. Opie, your cousin is being very unkind, but would you consider making a blankie anyway and giving it to baby later on? You don't have to participate in her comically overblown baby shower social events of the season. Gag. That's obviously to get Instagram clout. One of the few things I remember from being in labor with my first child, long labor, and an unplanned C-section, my memory of most of those days is foggy, is of my late, absolutely adored godmother standing in my hospital room, needing at sonic speed to make sure my daughter's lovely blanket was finished before she was born. That blanket was and is a treasure. Not an a-hole on many levels. Let's list the ways she's an a-hole. She insulted your first gift. She's having a second shower doll, especially if she has stuff from her first kid. It's not an actual shower, even a Zoom event. It's a gift grab. She reminded you to buy her something. Not RSVP, not bring napkins or soda, not give a Zoom link or directions. Her registry has no reasonable items. People who do that get bottles or puffy books from me with $10 max budget. She gave a minimum spending limit at all. That limit was ridiculous. She turned you down and then set her family on you. On the other hand, you offered a very thoughtful, customized, handmade gift of good quality and didn't call out any of her previous BS. Feel free to stop taking the high road at any time. Or just repeat when reply they send. She told me she didn't want a blanket because her first one was tacky and made her look cheap. I'm respecting her wishes. Anyone with any amount of sense knows how much more valuable of a gift a homemade blanket is than a store-bought one. You forgot one. She demanded a minimum of $100 from a university student. Not a a-hole. She's a choosy beggar who then doubled down and drilled a bunch of family as her flying monkeys. Ditch them all. For the last story, am I the a-hole for giving my daughter more attention than my sons? 3 years ago, my 40 female husband, 39 male at the time, died in a car crash. My daughter Kate, 10, was in the car with him. Luckily, Kate wasn't seriously injured, but she has severe anxiety and PTSD from the crash. Kate's PTSD relapsed, and she's having nightmares to the point where she wakes up screaming almost every night, has flashbacks at least once a day, and she's extremely attached to me. She's working with a therapist and is slowly getting better. She didn't wake up screaming last night, but she still needs a lot of attention. I used to make dinner with my oldest, 17 male, while Kate played in her room, but now she usually makes dinner with us. And when she's not, she's sitting at the kitchen table watching. I also used to watch a movie with my oldest and my middle son, 16 male, after Kate went to bed. But now our bedtime routine takes longer. I used to braid her hair and tuck her in, but now I braid her hair, tuck her in, and read to her until she falls asleep because it helps her calm down. And I don't have time to watch a full movie with them. Last night, Kate fell asleep pretty fast, so I had time to watch a movie with my sons. But when I asked them if they wanted to watch a movie, they told me to go back to Kate's room since I'd obviously rather be with her anyway. I tried to explain that she needs this right now, but they wouldn't hear it. Am I the a-hole for giving my daughter more attention? Edit. I'm realizing that I didn't make this clear in the post, but Kate hasn't been like this for 3 years. She's had anxiety and PTSD since the crash, but it's been manageable until around 2 weeks ago when her PTSD relapsed. I hate to say it, but you're the a-hole. You have 3 children. Yes, your daughter is going to need a lot of help right now, but so are your boys. They lost their father too. I suggest getting individual therapy for everyone, including you, and apologize to your sons for not being there for them. Everyone's already in individual therapy. Y'all clearly need group as well. This is so tough. Very, very, very soft, you're the a-hole. Yes, Kate probably needs you right now more than so than them, but they all lost their dad. They all need you. I don't see the harm in extending Kate's bedtime routine, but you need to find some way of making it up to the others. Maybe a day of just them. Or maybe find a TV show that's only 30 minutes you can watch at night with them if there's no time for a movie. You should also think about having family dinners again to keep that open communication. They lost their father too, and need you. I know Opie edited to say that Kate has only relapsed recently, but I think it would be good for Opie to seriously consider if her other kids were already getting the dregs of her attention. I think it would still be understandable, but I find it unlikely they reacted this way because of a reasonable 2-week shift in priorities. I think this might be above our pay grade, honestly. Really, this is the only answer. I don't understand people calling someone the a-hole when they lost their spouse and are trying to take care of 3 kids alone. They'd probably also call Opie the a-hole if she was ignoring her daughter to make her sons happy. It's a rough situation for everyone, and impossible for others to judge.